Welcome to the Possibility Paradigm podcast, where we have conversations that are at the intersection of possibility, consciousness, actual experience, and energetic intelligence. The Possibility Paradigm are actually more than conversations. They're experiences that can change your tomorrows. Let's jump into today's episode. Hi everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Possibility Paradigm podcast. I'm Grace Ambrook, your host. And the next 3 episodes are linking in together, and as a lot of my podcasts are business related, and I will be talking more specifically around and about business. But the truth is that the energies and the frequencies that we master in business are applicable to all aspects of your life. I know that I get comments from people who actually listen to the podcast who say literally that. I know it's kind of got a bit of a focus on business, but I find it really helpful because the same things I can apply to my own life and the decisions and choices that I'm making. And so even when I'm talking today about strategy, and we're going to have a complete paradigm shift around what strategy is, how strategy actually does work for you, and what it is that is actually way more effective than strategy in stimulating the success that you're consciously choosing. And so, I must be getting a big download. I always get an itchy nose. So yes, listen, receive. As you know, the fields that I create here are wide open for greater possibilities in all aspects of what's possible for all of us. And so today, the paradigm that we're working is really around moving out of strategy, and it's like, well, more directly, it's like you don't actually need more strategy. What's actually waiting for you is a different operating field, a different frequency. And so this is really coming from, if I can just find the right strategy, everything's going to work, to strategy actually only works at the level that your field, your energy field, is actually holding, and that you've activated the capacity to run this energy within your experience and your existence. So rather than us focusing and seeking on the right strategy and then blaming and shaming the strategy for not working, this is about, okay, hang on a second. If I realize that and I allow that the strategy works because of the energy field that I am, then you can actually truly utilize any strategy that really appeals to you. And, I learned this the hard way. I could tell you, I work with a lot of people around strategy, and I shared a lot of tears around why those strategies, which were working so well for everybody else, didn't actually bring the results that I heard were available. Let me put it that way. And so, because this is it, because there comes a point where more information doesn't actually move you forward. And again, as I said before, this applies not only to business. I also see this with people in relationship issues, and when they get more information around the person they're in relationship with, they think that will actually change something, but it really only changes for a day at best, sometimes a week if they're lucky. And because it's not reason that is behind the dynamics of a relationship. And it's not because you don't know enough, but it's because what you know isn't being held in a stable field. In other words, if you're reactive to the person that you're in relationship with, and you have more and more information about them, because you're in reactivity, it will never shift anything. And this is the same for strategy. If you know that you take these steps and you follow this process, and then this happens, if your field is not attuned to the greater capacity that you're saying that you want from this strategy, then you can do all the efforting that you like, and not very much is going to happen or be sustainable. So, the old paradigm is about learning more, doing more, fixing the gaps, following proven steps. But this new paradigm is all about stabilizing your internal field, refining your signal, and letting your coherence with the possibility be the energy that actually anchors the strategy. So when you're doing that from efforting and mindset, it's very fragile indeed. And so how you can kind of identify where you might be stuck is, the loop looks like you consume a whole lot of high level content, you get a little bit of clarity, yay! Then the momentum drops off, and then you re-enter into the learning mode because you figure you don't know enough. And that is like walking down the path that just takes you back into the loop. Whereas which is what I do in my sessions with people, it's all about the frequency and the stabilization of the frequency and the activation of the original coding of you so that you can stabilize that. So when we're shifting into something new, there are always new parts of us being activated. And if they're not stabilized, then everything around it will be wonky, right? So it's worthwhile knowing that let me just say this, that probably even consistency starts to get to be hard work. And I don't know about you, but if I knew, which I do, I know that stabilizing the field is one, easier, and B, actually naturally is related to consistency. And so it's like, we've been trained to put our focus in a place that doesn't actually relate to the issue. I'm also going to preface that by saying we all are very aware, we only have to look around to know that we're in a very different world, and that world is telling us that we have the possibility to show up and glow up in very different ways from that which we have. So back to strategy and business. So the key points here your business is not actually responding to your effort. It's actually responding to your energetic structure. And that energetic structure is about stabilizing the true capacities, not your programmed expectations. Because strategy actually amplifies what is already stabilized, which is, if that's hard work, then you can pick up another strategy and work your little tushy off, and maybe even enjoy doing the strategy, but not actually get the results. Because if the field is unstable, strategy actually fragments. So in relationships, for example, if your reactivity is destabilizing, then no matter what you do, you're always on the edge of another argument or another blow up or another getting, the pissed off and rumblings underneath your underneath your self-talk, and people being reactive then to that look on your face that you always have blah, 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 because it's an unstable field. And if you're moving, it doesn't matter whether it's a relationship, a business, a financial position, when you're actively and consciously choosing to update that, then there will be a requirement of the stabilization of your energetics. And when you stabilize your energy, your mindset moves with it. And again, this is another area where most people work really hard at mindset, repeating, making very hard work out of that, all based on there's something wrong with me. And so it's a lot more effective, precise, and efficient to stabilize your energy field. And then your mindset comes with you. I'm not going to go into all the whys of why that is, but never, you just come with me with this. Actually, it was funny. I saw something on Facebook where they're actually been able to teach a blob of plasma, or what's not plasma, like an artificially created blob that has no neurons, no brain, and they've been actually able to teach it to do some simple game. And but the interesting thing was it took a long time and it took absolute consistency. And what I'm talking about here is actually, oh, well, I don't know about you. Probably, I assume that if you're listening to this podcast, you actually have an affinity for high voltage and fast movement. So, one of the things that you can do in bringing today's episode to a close in relationship to this is notice where you are overriding your own knowing. And give yourself some space, right? Give it a try, right? Allow it, become curious around your knowing. Like, oh, I wondered if I did that, then what would that actually look like? Everything from, redoing your website or changing your application form or whatever it might be, sorry. And trust that knowing and allow it to be present and allow it to stabilize, to be an energy that stabilizes you. The other thing that you can do is track where your clarity drops, right? And this is a classic because most people, including myself sometimes, if I'm not in my awareness, will say that when they get confused, and they call a lack of clarity confusion. This can be a complete game changer, ladies and gentlemen, because if you acknowledge that it's not confusion, it's actually an instability. It's an energy that's not stabilized. And then you utilize one of your practices, one of your tools, your energetic tools, and actually stabilize your field. It changes the whole experience. And there is, if you go on to the page that I've linked below that has all of the gifts and so on, there's a perfect catalyst activator point that actually will help you with this. So, and the third thing around moving into the new paradigm about stabilizing your frequency rather than choosing another strategy is, what if you made fewer, cleaner decisions? And when I say hold them, I don't mean make them solid. I mean, give them a chance, right? Hold it there. No, I'm choosing to do this in a way that creates calm, not stress. And allow your awareness to support you. So fewer decisions, cleaner decisions, and hold them. And I quite often say to my clients who are sometimes preoccupied with making the right decision that rather than waiting to make the right decision, what about you decided that you would choose a decision that you would back yourself on fully? So whatever you choose, you have chosen to back yourself in that decision, right? Fewer, cleaner decisions. Hold them. And so you don't need another strategy. You don't need to have more information. You're way better off becoming the energy, becoming the frequency, becoming the place, the space where that strategy actually is able to work. Because remember, you are the possibility. Thanks for listening. See you next time. If this conversation sparks something within you, subscribe to the Possibility Paradigm podcast and share this episode with someone who you know is ready to explore life beyond old frameworks. I mentioned in here a special gift of one of my catalysts that I share with people, and you can access that through clicking the link below, and it will take you immediately to that simple, highly effective process to move the energy within you so that you and your mind and your brain can move in the direction that you're choosing to go in. Remember, you're not searching for possibility, you're remembering that you are the possibility.